Hi everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And today I'd like to say sometimes you just need to have somebody set you straight. Now this morning I was watching a video while I was eating breakfast. We watch quite a few YouTubers around the United States. Some of them are serious gardeners, some of them are more into the animal side of homesteading. This morning I was listening to a family that are serious gardeners. They have a whole stack of kids and they grow and preserve the vast majority of their veggies. They have also moved from multiple locations around the United States. And I like listening to them because they're the first ones to tell you that you have to figure out what works where you are. For the last couple of weeks, I've been listening to people who are like, oh yeah, I'm starting this, I'm starting that, I'm starting the other thing. And I was thinking, oh man, geez, is it too late to do this? Is it too late to do that? And then I kind of went, listen up, kid. You live someplace colder than the rest of these people do. You know, it's been in the 20s most of the time at night lately. I think we were warmer last night. I think we only got down to 32. But a lot of times the people on YouTube will be someplace warm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because sometimes you get some really good clues out of how to do things where you are when it's warm. But I also had to kind of readjust my thought pattern a little. This family that I was watching this morning lives someplace colder than where I am, or at least a semi-equivalent. So they're planning right now. And pretty quick they'll be starting some early stuff. But they also live someplace cooler than I live, in the sense that their summers are cooler. So for us, in order to grow most of the brassicas, you have to kind of get it over with in the spring. And for some reason, my brain was just kind of stalling on the idea that I should plant more pak choi and cabbage. Now, last fall, I got totally carried away with some of my cabbage. And really not as carried away as you might think. Thank goodness the sun just went behind a cloud. I'm getting roasted in here. What happened was, I started a bunch of cabbage, and two different kinds. I have Tiara, which is what I would call a fresh eating cabbage. It'll hold for a bit, it'll hold for a week or two, but it's not designed to storage. And then Copenhagen, which is a storage cabbage, the kind you could throw into a cool location and have it last for months. And what I had planned to do this fall, after we got back from one of my business trips, was to plant out a whole stack of this stuff in beds that had been used for totally other stuff. A couple of things happened. One is we discovered that a bunch of our beds are pretty heavily infested with grubs. So that's a problem for me. I am going to wind up planting some things when it's still too early, probably, to do anything about the grubs, except for hand pick. But when I can, when the soil is above 40 degrees, I'm going to buy nematodes that are designed to eat these little beggars and wipe them out. And I'm going to do that for every single one of the beds, because it's obvious to me we have a massive problem. So somewhere along in here, that happened, so I was being a little hesitant about planting the cabbage and the pak choi out, especially the cabbage. Then we froze. I mean, we froze solid. We went straight down into the teens, and we kind of stayed there for most of the end of October, beginning of November, pretty solidly into December. So, and that's at night. You know, we were warmer than that during the day, but the ground really did freeze early this year. A lot of times it doesn't freeze until January. And it stayed frozen. And I was just like, I can't set a bunch of seedlings out, even if they've been in a fairly cool location. This is just not going to work. So I wound up keeping a whole ton of cabbage in here, which is not what I had planned to do at all. I had planned to plant these things out. Well, it's been a mixed bag in terms of success, but we were sort of cut off by the pass by Mother Nature. I keep looking at all the cabbage and stuff I have here and thinking, oh, well, I need to do something with it. But what I really need to do is I need to plant some new, and I also need to plant some pak choi. I went through yesterday, I harvested my choy sum and grabbed a couple more pak choi and realized how short I was on pak choi. So this and this brain of mine is still thinking it's too warm, and I'm like, one minute I'm thinking it's too warm, and the other minute I'm thinking it's too cold. The fact is, it's the beginning of February in high altitude Arizona. We're growing zone 7B, and our last date of frost is not until May 15th. Now, that doesn't always mean that it doesn't happen until May 15th, but we actually have one little teeny section of one of the beds that gets full sun all day, every day, where the daffodils have started to come up. The whole rest of the garden, there's still sections where the ground is completely frozen. So, no. What I need to remember is where I live. And when I look at my plants, when I look at my packages, I'm looking at planting two different things here. I'm looking at planted pak choi, which is a 45-day product. That means I'll have stuff the end of April. And tiara, 63 days, so a little later, but still before my last date of frost. What the heck am I thinking? What am I waiting for? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant 6 pak choi. No, not 6. These are 8 packs. So I'm going to plant 8 pak choi, and I'm going to plant 8 tiara cabbage. And I'm going to make a bet that I'm going to be able to find a place to stick these things. Even if I wind up using buckets like this, I'll use the bigger ones. I've got some that are short and squat like this. They're not 5-gallon, but I think they're 4. Cabbage have a large root system, and kind of blew it on that this fall. The ones that I planted in my wicking totes have done really well, and we've harvested a whole stack of the tiara, and one or two of the Copenhagen. But the ones that are in smaller things are hanging on, but no matter how much I fertilize them or anything else, they really just are not doing that well. Haven't decided what I'm going to do about that. Not sure if they've been damaged too badly that even if I were to plant them up now, that they would be able to do something. But I've decided to place my bets and take my chances, because that's what gardening is. You always place your bets and take your chances. I'm betting on tiara cabbage, which is our fresh market cabbage, and my queen choy, which is our hybrid pak choi. We eat a lot of the pak choi, so there's no doubt about the fact that that will succeed, because as soon as these start to get too big, I'm going to plant them up into something else. I'll probably plant them up into these guys, and I think they're going to like those even better than they like these. As for the cabbage, I may just stick that out in the garden somewhere. Not sure yet, but like I say, sometimes you just have to make your bets and take your chances. So let's get started on this this planting here. I have my seed tray. I've already got potting soil in it. I've already made dents in it. Both of these are supposed to be planted 1/8 to 1/4 inch deep. What is Jack doing back here? He has disappeared. That means he's under a table. Okay, he's hiding under a table. We can do that. So I'm just going to drop one of these in each cell. I'm not going to worry about double planting them or anything else. If I get 100% germination, awesome. If I don't, I'll live with it. Then I'm going to sprinkle seed starting potting mix over the top just a little bit, because that's really easy for the plants to bust through. And there we are. Ta-da! Did not take long at all. And then over here, make sure I put my labels in the right spots. Couldn't find any tiara cabbage labels this morning, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm only planting one kind of cabbage. So we will make this work. And I can definitely tell the difference between cabbage and pak choi as soon as they get a little bit bigger. When they're little bitties, cabbage is kind of cabbage, but all right, got a couple of extra in there. I'm not going to try and fish them out. So there's that. Put those over there. I really want to keep them dry. I screwed up that way one time earlier this year, and that was a mess. I wound up planting a whole stack of stuff I hadn't planned to. Yeah, this is way finer than most of my regular potting mix. One of the problems we've had is some of these potting mixes have so much big junk in them, is the only way to put it. Okay, and that's all there is to it. I just had to give myself a wake-up call. It's easy sometimes when you're listening to other people. You kind of get tuned into what's going on in Missouri or Georgia or someplace like that, and suddenly you realize, what the heck am I thinking of? It's February, and I have plenty of time. I'm just going to place my bets and take my chances. So I hope this inspires you. I hope this makes you realize that you need to figure out what's going on where you live, and you need to look at your calendar and figure out when you should plant. One of my problems right now is we're busy getting ready to go to an event, and the problem with that is I am preoccupied. I am looking for things, I am packing things, I am trying to remember things. I've got lists the size of, mountains, and it's so easy to get caught up in that and realize I also need to get some seedlings planted. So these will be fine. I can get these wet good, stick them over here. If I'm concerned about them drying out more, I can stick them on a bottom shelf because we are getting ready to go away in a week. I'll be able to make this work, and that will give me something to work with. And if by some chance they just don't make it, I still have time when I get back from the event in a week or so to plant another batch. But statistically, this will work. Like I said, you gotta place your bets and take your chances. So I hope this inspires you. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can see what else we're up to. And have a great week. Bye. Not caterpillars. Grubs. That's the word I was looking for. A lot of we discovered. Blah, 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 blah.